Good day, I'm Sergeant Cynthia Savard with the Ontario Provincial Police. Today we're doing a video to teach you about the law. So there's a difference between rules and law. So rules are everywhere. For example, you're not allowed to run in the hallway, you're not allowed to hit other kids in school. And then there's the law. So there's 3 levels in Canada. The first one is the federal. So there's a big book about this thick. It's called the Criminal Code of Canada. So in there, it tells you everything you're not allowed to do. For example, you're not allowed to steal things. You're not allowed to hit people and injure them. You're not allowed to drink and drive. If you do so, you can be arrested, charged, and sent in front of a judge. So those rules are in place to keep you safe and keep everyone else safe. The second one is the provincial. So for example, under the Highway Traffic Act, your parents are not allowed to drive super fast or talk on their cell phone when they're driving. If so, they could get a ticket. The third one is under the municipal. So under the city and the township, there's a set of rules that, so for example, you're not allowed to go under N Park past 11 p.m. So what age do you think you have to be for police to be allowed to arrest you in Canada? Well, in fact, there's no age. You can be 8, 48, 88. If you're committing a crime, we can arrest you. How old do you think you have to be for us to charge you? The age in Canada is 12. So from 0 to 11, it doesn't mean you can do everything you want. So if you commit a crime, depending what it is, your parents could be held accountable for it. But when you're 12, we can arrest you, charge you, and send you in front of a judge depending of the offense. So we're going to show you a video that's going to explain different, because when you're 12 to 17, there's actually a different set of law that applies for you. So again, the video, it's a simulation, it's not a true story, but I would like you to look for all the offenses that the kids are committed while at the park.
The Youth Criminal Justice Act is federal legislation that the police follow when dealing with young people who commit criminal offenses. This is a story about friends who meet at the park after school and what can happen if they decide to break the law.
She doesn't know her kid. She doesn't know it. So it's not a big deal. The only thing that she was like wondering about is bring a lot of my stuff. You gone off food? Yeah, I'll yeah, I guess it might give me a lot. Letting a lot of people down.
Going to the party on the weekend?
Not really mine. This ball is perfect to do the Fagan.
Sounds good.
All right.
I don't feel like it. I'll just hang back.
Okay.
Or something. Yo, what are those guys doing over there?
Don't worry about it.
No, man, I'm gonna have to clean that up in the morning.
It's not a big deal.
No, I gotta do something. Don't do this now. Where did it go away? Hey, yo! What? Man, I work there. I'm gonna have to clean that up. Dude, just tag somewhere else, man. Keep it up, man. I'm gonna have to call the cops. Tag somewhere else.
Give me this f***ing phone.
Seriously,
I
dude?
said to get the
Yo,
f*** away.
Go? No.
Guys. Dude, what?
Fight? No way. Oh my god.
Pounded in.
There's an emergency at the skate park. My friend's getting really hurt.
Yo! Back up! Go! Whoa!
You've seen in the video, there's many things that happen. So there's a boy that gets assaulted and injured. There's other kids that are drinking underage. There is mischief, because painting a wall with a spray can is called a mischief. Have you seen at the beginning, there's actually exchange, drug trafficking. So what do you think is going to happen to those kids? So like I said, in Canada, there is different ways to deal with consequences. So move on the video. We're going to show you what can happen. And really, if you think about it, if all the kids committing crime would go to jail, a lot of kids would be in jail. So we're going to show you what can be done to help you repair what you have done.
Did somebody call police?
Yeah, I called.
You did? Okay. How come?
There was a fight.
There was a fight?
They got hurt.
You did?
Yeah.
All right, what happened? You're Brandon? And you must be Haley?
Yeah.
I had RPG for assault, mischief for him, and mischief for her.
Okay, anything with this guy?
Nothing.
Okay. What were you doing here today?
I was just with them, and then I guess fight broke out.
Okay. So you've got a way home?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can call later.
Okay, so you can head off now.
All right.
I've got all your information. I am going to call your parents, let them know what's going on here today. Okay? All right.
Brandon, come here. You're under arrest for assault.
Okay, you know that you're under arrest for mischief?
Yeah.
Okay.
Haley and Brandon have committed the criminal offense of mischief. Brandon has also committed the criminal offense of assault causing bodily harm. Police officers have the power to arrest anyone they find committing a criminal offense or have reasonable grounds to believe committed a criminal offense.
Okay. Nothing on you at all that I have to worry about?
No, just my phone.
Okay. I'm going to put you in the cruiser. We're going to call a female officer over, okay, to do a search. Have a seat inside. Watch your head.
Now, what do you think is going to happen with the backpack? Are the officers going to be able to open it? And what they're going to find in there, can it be used as evidence of the offense?
When they are arrested, they are searched for the safety of the officers and the public.
What's this, Brandon?
I was just holding that for a friend.
Holding that for a friend?
The police have the authority to search them for weapons or anything that could cause injury. They are also searched for evidence of the offense or for anything that could help them to escape from custody.
Search, lift your left foot up. Okay, your right foot, same way. Coming there. I'm gonna run my hands through your hair, make sure there's nothing in there, okay? You've got a second coat on? Anything inside here?
No.
Okay. So we're gonna check that bag next. Anything in that bag that we should be worried about?
There might be something.
What do you think would be in there? Is there anything we're gonna find?
There might be a little bit more.
Okay. I'm just gonna move you over here one step over to this side.
Paint can. Another bag. Another bag. You're under arrest for the possession for the purpose, you understand? Okay, come with me.
The police find Brandon to be in possession of a controlled substance. They also charge him with an offense under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act.
What are you doing here? No, just leave that there. Leave it on the ground. What's your name?
Maddie,
Okay, Maddie, how old are you?
17.
You're 17. Where did you get the beer from?
My parents' house.
Do they know that you have the beer?
No.
You guys know that you're not supposed to be drinking in a public place and underage, right? Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to seize all this alcohol and I'm going to get you guys to follow me up to the cruiser.
Under the Liquor License Act, a police officer can issue an out-of-court fine or a summons for a young person to attend provincial offences court.
So basically what I'm going to do today is release you on a Part 3 provincial offense notice. What that is it's a court date for the charge of supplying liquor to people under the age of 19.
Maddie is charged with supplying liquor to minors and must attend provincial offences court at a future date.
So we have seen that the kids are drinking in the park. So they're underage, because in Ontario the age is 19 to be allowed to drink, but also they're in a public place, which even an adult will not be allowed. So there's different options. So what's going to happen is the girl is getting a Part 3, which is going to mean she's going to go in front of the provincial court, and the fine can be really high in this case. And then for the boys, she could give them a ticket for drinking underage and also for in a public place. But she decided to drive them home and give them a warning and advise the parents, which in this case, they're lucky, and we hope that they learn their lesson.
The police officer decides to warn the boys and will turn them over to their parents. Haley and Brandon are taken into custody because of the seriousness of their offenses. They will also have to face the consequences for their actions.
He was in the back of the cruiser. The arresting officer would call in to check on his criminal record to find out what type of individual he's dealing with. If the male has a criminal past and there's going to be charges, he would be brought back to the detachment. He would come in through our Sally Port with the cruiser, would be brought into our holding cells and processed. Well, he's brought in here. The individual would be frisk searched in this area. This whole area is video monitored as well as audio monitored. He would be remove any clothing that he's not allowed to have in the cell area. Any jewelry would have to be removed. Any watches, that type of thing, earrings, piercings would all have to be removed for his safety and ours. He would be, all his property would be lodged. The individual would be placed into the holding cell. And we would close the door and lock it. This cell could have as many as 8 people in it, depending on the amount of prisoners that we have in these cells at that time. As you can see, there are 2 cement beds. If there are more than 2 prisoners in the cell area, they may have to sleep on the floor if they're here for an extended period of time. And as you can see, there is also only 1 toilet. There is no privacy. This whole area is video monitored, as I mentioned, so as well, there's no privacy in that regard. While he's in the cell area, the arresting officer will go and confirm his criminal record check, as well as if he's being released on a promise to appear, the officer would complete any release paperwork that needs to be done. Also, the prisoner would be asked if he would like to contact a lawyer or duty counsel. That would also be done. The contact would be placed and the prisoner would have a chance to speak with duty counsel or a lawyer of his choosing. Also, the parents of the individual would be contacted. He would be issued a promise to appear. On that promise to appear, there will be a court date. And before that court date, there will be a fingerprint date that he will have to reattend the detachment here and come in to have his fingerprints taken to be sent off to the RCMP. These cells, this whole process, are the consequences of the actions of the individual. If they break the law, they will be processed in this manner, and these cells are just a part of that process.
So now they're back at detachment. The parents of the boys are going to have to come. He's going to have to sign documents with a court date and come back for fingerprint. And he will probably have condition to follow. If not, more consequence is going to happen.
A police officer can use a restorative measure for a non-violent first-time offender if the officer believes it will hold the young person accountable for their behavior. Haley had no criminal record and the mischief was a non-violent offense, so the officer refers her to participate in a restorative youth justice circle.
Now we're going to see that Haley has done something not violence, so she's going to be giving the options to follow a restorative measure. So we're going to see in the video what it looks like.
I just wanted to start with a couple of things before we move right into our justice circle. First of all, this is a voluntary process, so everybody's here because they want to be here. Haley, if you decide this isn't the route that you want to go, the option would be to have your day in court if that is what you choose, okay? But I think you and Mom have had some time to talk about that and have decided that this is the way you want to go. This is a confidential meeting, okay? So everything that we talk about here in this room needs to stay in this room to respect each other, okay? And we're going to talk one at a time. Everybody's going to have a chance to be heard. That's really important. maybe say why you're here and what you're hoping to accomplish from our meeting today.
Brandon had outstanding charges, and because of the seriousness of his criminal offenses, he must go to court and have a judge determine if he should remain in custody.
So now he's going to have to go to court. So that means money, because he's going to have to get a lawyer, and then 2 options, plead guilty and not guilty. If he pleads guilty, like you're going to see in the video, he's going to get a probation, so which he's not going to jail, but condition to follow. If he breaks those conditions, again, more consequence. If not guilty, then he goes for trial, and then that costs a lot of money and takes a lot of time.
Good morning, Your Honor. For the record, the name is Ward. I appear on behalf of Brandon Smith. For the purpose of jurisdiction, sir, his date of birth is March the 22nd, 1996. He's here today with his mother.
The defense attorney's responsibility is to defend their client and represent them in court.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Brandon Smith, how do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Yes, Your Honor. The facts are as follows. It occurred on November 2nd of last year in the afternoon at the Bracebridge Skateboard Park. Mr. Smith committed an assault on Hunter Jones. You'll hear in a moment the injuries were quite serious.
The Crown Attorney prosecutes the criminal charges laid by police officers. The Crown Attorney has to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Brandon, please rise. You've been found guilty of the charges before the court. It's my decision. I have decided to place you on probation for a period of 18 months.
Probation supervision is an opportunity given to young people by the youth court, so they can remain in the community and prove that they can behave in a more responsible manner. The youth court judge sets the length of the order and the conditions that must be followed after hearing from the Crown Attorney and the defense lawyer. A probation officer supervises the young person and helps them to comply with the court order and avoid committing any further offenses.
These charges are very serious and have consequences for the rest of your life. You have a chance here to make good to your mother, your parents, your friends, and only you can do that. So I don't expect to see you before this court again.
So because he pled guilty, now he will have criminal records. We're going to see shortly what are the consequences of criminal records, even as a youth person. It's going to have effect on your future career, on the ability to cross border, to travel, and a lot of other things.
This is the story of a boy who tags a wall and is arrested by the police for committing the offense of mischief. The police offer him a lifeline through restorative measures so he can repair the harm he's done and understand the consequences of his actions. He learns from the restorative measures, understands what he did wrong, and has smooth sailing through his teenage years. He has no more involvement with the criminal justice system, so he doesn't have a criminal record follow him into his adult life. Just like someone who has never been in trouble with the law, he ends up sailing into the future to education and employment. It doesn't always work this way, though. The police can consider other options when dealing with a young person who has committed a criminal offense. If the police have evidence to believe that a restorative measure would not hold him accountable for his criminal behavior, they could charge him. If he is charged, he has extra challenges to face. He has to answer to the court to repair the harm he's done, and he has to gain back the trust of his friends, family, and community. If he doesn't commit another criminal offense, he can row on to his future and his criminal record won't follow him past his 18th birthday. But when he already has a criminal record or outstanding charges and he commits another criminal offense, he will find himself in a lot of difficulty. He will need lots of support if he's going to move on and make something of his life. His criminal record will follow him past his 18th birthday into his adult life. He'll have to deal with that and not get involved in criminal offenses as an adult. If he does, then his youth criminal record will become his adult criminal record. This is something that everyone needs to understand. What you do before your 18th birthday can follow you past your 18th birthday and affect the rest of your life. It would be kind of like floating down the river of life without a paddle. trying to stay afloat.
Finally, we're gonna go with the exercise. So you're gonna see the page pop up on the screen. I'm gonna ask the question and then you can try to answer, and then we're gonna go through it. First question is, what is the Youth Criminal Justice Act? A, the law that you have to follow at school. B, the law used to deal with youth people. The law a driver must follow on the roadway. Or D, the law your parents used to discipline you. So the answer is the law used to deal with young people. Second question, we're going to have a list of offenses with description, and we're going to try to match the offenses with the description. So the offenses are mischief, theft, harassment, threatening, assault, trespassing, possession. First description. It's the crime of intentionally or knowingly putting another person in fear or immediate bodily injuries. So it's actually threatening. Second one is crime of repeatedly conducting overtime that cause victim to reasonably fear for their safety. So that would be harassment. The third one is the crime of possessing illegal drugs for personal use, distribution, sale, or otherwise. So the crime is possession. Following one is crime of entering a property without consent of the owner. That would be trespassing. Next one is crime of damaging property owned by another person. So that is called mischief. Next one is crime of applying a force directly and indirectly to another person without their consent. So that's an assault. Last one is crime of taking property belonging to another person without their consent. This is theft. Next question is, how old do you have to be for the Youth Criminal Justice Act to apply to you? First one is old enough to drive. B, between 12 to 17. C, over 18. D, between 11 to 18. So the answer is B, so between 12 and 17. Next question is, if you're arrested but not old enough to be penalized under the YCGA, how is the police going to deal with you? So we can arrest you, no charge. But again, depending on the circumstance. So for example, if your father would leave a weapon, you take it and you shoot someone, then it would be your father being charged for criminal negligence. Or if you're left alone with no supervision and you're steal a car and go drive and cause an accident, then children aids would be contacted, because it wouldn't be normal for you to be left under no supervision and have access to a vehicle. So it all depends of the circumstance. Next one is, we're going to place in order what happened when a youth gets caught by police. So what we have to place from 1 to 6. So sentences, parents or guardian notified, fingerprint and photography, court appearance, arrest, and release. So number one, what happened is for the youth to get arrested. The second one, it would be the parents and the guardian would be notified. Third one, the youth would be released. The fourth one is that youth would have to come for fingerprint and photography. Fifth one is he would have to attend for his court appearance. And then the last one, he would get his sentence. Next one is, we're going to give a description of roles. And then you're going to have to tell me who is the position or the job is for. So the first one is the person who has been affected by an action of the accused. So the answer is D, the victim. The person who is in charge of a courtroom and decide what happened to the accused. That is A, the judge. Next one is lawyer who's working with police to build a case against the accused. That would be the Crown Attorney. Next one is person who makes sure everyone is safe in the court. So that's Court Security Officer. And a person who tells the judge what he or she saw. That is the, E, a witness. Next one is the lawyer who is representing the accused. That would be C, the defense lawyer. And then the last one is person on trial who has been charged. Then that's the accused. So thank you so much for following the video. We hope you learned what is the law in Canada.